I've tried it all. Dropshipping, freelancing as a web developer, freelancing as a video editor, starting my own short form content agency, turning that into a B2B podcast agency, a physical dog walking business, Instagram theme pages, content creation, coaching, Spotify playlists, and even a remote job. Every time one of you guys emails or writes to me, Subha, what is the best business model for me to start? I'm 16, 17, 18, 19, or even 20, and I want to make some money of my own. And this question is extremely difficult for me to answer without getting context of exactly where you are in your life. That's why I'm making this video to give you all my knowledge so that you feel ready to take that first step in starting your business. And if you're someone who already has an online business that just isn't doing super well, then there might be a mismatch between where you are in life and where you need to be in order to succeed with, let's say, content creation. We're going to rank each business model by scoring it on the following. Number 1, information availability. That is, how easy is it to acquire all the knowledge you need to start. Number 2, how much starting capital does it take? Number 3, how easy is it to execute? Number 4, skills you learn even if you fail. Number 5, how quickly can you earn your first $1,000? Number 6, scalability and if there's any exit value. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get into the first one, dropshipping. It feels like we've all tried this at some point, and me personally, I was inspired by Kamil Satar, also known as the Ecom King, and Vlad, or also known as Bia Heza. I was 16, I created 2 to 3 dropshipping stores, and I ordered some video commercials from Fiverr, and I bought some theme page ads, and I kept waiting because we got 0 orders. I did this like twice and I gave up on dropshipping. But if I was to do it now, I'd have a much higher chance of success. And I know people who have went on with similar business models to create their own e-commerce brands. To rank it, let's give it scores out of 10. Number 1, tons of free content is available on YouTube. Literally from starting out to building an entire brand, sourcing suppliers, finding winning products, and even different advertising methods. But at the same time, you need to navigate past all the bullshit information that's out there. So 9 out of 10. Now, if you want to start properly, I'd recommend having at least $1,000, and chances are you're probably gonna lose it 8 times out of 10. So total score for this is only 4 out of 10. Dropshipping is a simple model, but you need a lot of things to go right for you to be able to succeed. 6 out of 10. You learn a lot of skills: sales, copywriting, web development, advertising, and even customer support. 8 out of 10. It takes time to test products and find winners. So even if you're a beginner and everything goes right for you, it'll probably still take over a month. So 5 out of 10. You can scale a dropshipping product into a proper white labeled e-commerce brand and potentially have a lot of exit value, but it's pretty dang difficult. So 7 out of 10. Total score is 39 out of 60. Next, we have freelancing with a skill that you've already learned, whether it be video editing or copywriting. After failing at dropshipping, I started building Shopify stores for others on Upwork, and I made my first money that way. You see, skills transfer. Lots of free and paid ways you can learn one good skill. Plus, chances are you're probably already good at something and now you only need to learn how to sell yourself. 8 out of 10. And you don't need any startup capital except for your brain. 10 out of 10. But here's the thing, a lot of people are freelancing these days, and that's a double-edged sword. It means that if your outreach is generic, you're bound to fail. But if you're able to stand out, you can very quickly scale your freelancing gig to multiple lakhs a month. 7 out of 10. You'll learn how to sell yourself, you'll get on some client calls, and you'll keep improving at that one skill you're offering. But nothing too major. 4 out of 10. If done correctly, a single client can pay you more than $1,000. So time-wise, it could take you less than a week. 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, you can't scale being a freelancer. You can increase your rates, but even then, there's going to be a limit. You need to become an agency after a point of which demand exceeds what you can possibly supply. 3 out of 10. Total score 42 out of 60. Now the one you've all been waiting for, short form content agency. I started this while I was in the 12th grade in the midst of working with Iman, and it's how I made my first $10,000 or 8 lakh rupees in a month. Essentially, what you do is you repurpose other creators as long form content into shorts or edit original videos. But would I recommend this today? The truth is, most agencies I'm aware of that started with short form content as their main selling point have now pivoted. It's extremely difficult to exceed the 20 to 30k mark with just that. There's tons of information online on how you can start with your agency. Most of the principles of offer creation and outreach remain the same whether you're selling advertising or even short form content. Even on my Instagram, I'm dropping free game about this stuff all the time. time, so it's an 8 out of 10. You could start with 0, but that would take a lot of time, and I would recommend hiring a VA for stuff like lead generation, and budget aside at least $500 for that, so 6 out of 10. It's not the easiest way to make your first money. Freelancing is easier, and I always tell freelancers to keep freelancing until demand exceeds supply, and that's when you make your first hire, and now technically you've become an agency. But when management gets involved, that is having team members working for you, things can get a little tricky because you're undertaking responsibility. What happens if your clients churn? Do you even have the confidence in your ability to deliver results so that clients stay for long? Do you have a moat? 5 out of 10. You'll learn a lot of skills: outreach, sales, team management, hiring, firing, brand building, and even accounting. The list goes on forever. 10 out of 10. It'll take a bit more setup time than freelancing, but even then you can be pretty quick, so maybe give it 2 weeks. 8 out of 10. But you can't scale much. 30k and you'll be struggling with churn. 5 out of 10. Total score 42 out of 60. Next, we have the agency model in general. So not just short form content agencies. We're talking about SEO agencies, podcast agencies, AI agencies, staffing agencies, and you get the point. Truth is, you can't just be a short form content agency. You need to craft an ideal customer profile and a solution that is full service, that handles a pain point from A to Z. And you need to stand out from all the competition by having something unique. That's why at Atomic, we've started creating theme pages for our clients so that they can drive traffic back to their early stage podcasts. For niche agencies or productized service agencies, it's the same principles that apply. But it looks like most people are stuck in 2018 with their SMMA ad agencies. That isn't everything. There's a lot of different types of agencies, so sometimes it can be hard to find information. 7 out of 10. Same as short form content agencies, $500 is a recommendation to start with. 6 out of 10. It's at the same level of difficulty as a short form content agency, but it's a higher leverage vehicle long term. That means for the same amount of effort you put in, you're likely to get higher returns on average. 6 out of 10. Same as SFC, if not more, to be honest. 10 out of 10. As quick as you can sell. Depends on your offer, especially if it's new or hot. 9 out of 10. If you structure your agency well from the start, that is having high profile clients, having 12-month contracts, and a unique moat, there's a chance you can get a 3 to 5x multiple. It's also way more scalable than a short form content agency, but at the end of the day, the agency model has its limitations and it's generally hard to scale past the $100,000 a month mark. 8 out of 10, and the total score is 46 out of 60. Theme pages. All the guests on my podcast have somehow started with this coincidentally. Aman, Saksham, Aditya, and even me. I believe there's a common pattern between people who start off with creating successful theme pages and then become successful entrepreneurs for 3 main reasons. Number 1, it teaches you consistency and discipline. You need to do the same thing again and again and again, and there's very little change in your day-to-day activities. Number 2, it teaches you patience. You'll post for months and months, and sometimes you won't even get results, and that's when you learn the value of persisting through times when you can't even see the results of the work you're putting in, but you do it anyways. Number 3, it teaches you about the social media algorithms and the industry, and that's super important if you want to be working in this space. There isn't much practical growing theme page advice. You just need to pick a lucrative niche and research social media trends. But at the same time, you don't need a lot of information to start. 7 out of 10. It takes 0 starting capital. Literally your phone, an internet connection, and your grit. 10 out of 10. It's super easy as well. 8 out of 10, as you don't need to use your brain, you just need to have a keen eye and keep doing it. You'll only learn basic video editing and perseverance. So 1 out of 10. It'll take months to get up to $1,000 with people paying you for ads. And when you sell, I just hope that you're able to exit with at least $2,000 to $5,000. So it's not the quickest way to get rich unless you combine 2 business models. Think having a theme page in a fitness niche and selling some fitness product via dropshipping. 2 out of 10. I can see scalability in terms of starting a media company. For example, you own all the big fitness pages. You start a newsletter, you create a YouTube clips channel, and then you can probably sell big time if you have like 10-20 million followers. But even then, it's really tough. So 4 out of 10. Total score 32 out of 60. But what does this really mean? Combine theme pages with another business model and this score would easily jump to like 45 out of 60. Imagine selling your coaching services through your theme pages. it is possible. Next up, content creation. I started making content after my theme page venture. I had a few fitness theme page at around 100k, and I thought to myself, if I could grow these pages, why couldn't I grow my own account? And trust me, at that time, I needed some money. Despite being super insecure and conscious of how I looked, I started filming. I made these almost cringe reels, and a lot of them got over 1 million views. But obviously, I sucked at the very start. I found myself with 8,000 followers after a year. There's a ton of information on how you should start your personal brand and what equipment you should get, but none of it matters until you get over your conscience and pick up your camera or your iPhone and just record. All that information is not going to help you. 7 out of 10. The starting capital depends on you. My recommendation is that you don't need a camera, you don't need a fancy mic, just use your phone, whatever it is, and use Adobe Enhance to get your mic sorted out. 8 out of 10. It is difficult to have a deep understanding of what is going to work well. When you're starting out, talk about yourself and do not try give advice to people. Instead of, here are 5 reasons you should start taking cold plunges, I would say 6 months ago, I started taking cold plunges and it changed my life. 4 out of 10. You learn how to speak to the camera, which is invaluable. Edit your own videos, do some data analysis on your videos to find out what works best, and you likely meet some really cool people. 8 out of 10. But it's going to be slow. This is a year-long commitment without expecting anything in return. You best believe that your first $1,000 in brand deals will take time. But again, if you're smart and you combine this with multiple business models, such as coaching, you'll get there faster. But 2 out of 10. You can definitely scale and get to 1 million subscribers, but you're competing with a bunch of killers in this space, and it's likely to end up becoming your full-time job. But the upside is also unlimited, so 8 out of 10. Total score, 37 out of 60. Coaching. I have very limited experience taking one-on-one calls, and I didn't enjoy it much. I love the people I spoke to, but I just felt like I could use my time building assets that far exceed the value of what I was being paid in an hour, even if that was 20,000. There's very limited upside to coaching because there's a ceiling on how much you can charge per hour. But if that's all you want to do and you genuinely enjoyed this and you like teaching people in whatever you're coaching, then go for it. There's a lot of information on how coaches should scale their business. 7 out of 10. It doesn't take much starting capital. It takes intellectual capital. You should be a master in your craft before you coach people who are behind you. Then you need to have a way for others to get to know about you. So think cold emails, content creation, or even paid ads. But ultimately, getting your first client is totally up to your creativity. 7 out of 10. You don't need additional skills apart from the one you're teaching. Obviously, having an affinity towards being a great educator is going to be helpful. Just be a people's person. 7 out of 10. You don't learn much, but you do network. Business coaches have a network of executives that probably like them and would help them with whatever they need. 3 out of 10. It takes time to establish expertise, so 6 out of 10. Here's where coaching sucks. You can't scale because it's dependent on your time, and you can't sell because it's dependent on you. 0 out of 10. Total score, 23 out of 60. Remote jobs. This was truly eye-opening for me, as it made me realize that yes, I can make a shit ton of money sitting at home with a computer. My first job was with a guy you might know, Iman Gadzi, and at that time I was working at a Grow Your Agency, now called Educate, as a social media manager. But for most beginners, I think remote jobs should be in the top 3 of how you should aim to start. And guys, there is nothing wrong with working a job. You should reverse engineer the information you need. Look at remote jobs and their requirements. Then get that skill set you need for that job from YouTube. Actually, it's a pretty good course idea if I just teach people how to get their first remote job and train them. But anyways, 7 out of 10. Zero starting capital unless you invest in some paid course that teaches you the skill that you need. 9 out of 10. Way easier than starting a business. And if you look at how most people apply to jobs, it's so easy to stand out. 10 out of 10. Recording looms, writing resumes, presenting yourself, and passing job interviews. It's a skill that'll make you confident and will help you feel financially secure. 8 out of 10. Pretty damn quick. Online jobs are often going to be quicker than traditional corporate jobs because people value speed. 8 out of 10. You can't scale nor exit unless you work multiple jobs at once, which I have done in the past. Regardless, 3 out of 10. Total score 45 out of 60. Next, we've got a bonus quickfire round where I'll give you some business models you might have never even heard of, along with my thoughts on them. Spotify playlists. This one's funny because it was one of the first time that I truly earned passive income, even though I don't believe in the concept of passive income. The idea is you create a playlist on Spotify, it gets a ton of likes, and then up and coming artists want to promote their songs, and essentially they want it to be in the top 3 spots inside your playlist so that people who've liked it can listen to their songs and discover them. 2. SaaS with either code or no code. Some of my friends run software companies and it's really challenging. Probably tougher than an agency in general, but there are creators talking about and simplifying the whole micro SaaS concept. I've left a guy I've been looking up to personally in the description. Growth operators or community builders. Those guys who offer building info products for creators. Every single DM outreach I've gotten is so horrendous that if you knew what you were doing, it would be so easy to stand out. It's a good model, but I think you should be a creator first to be able to understand the psychology behind being a creator before you offer these services. And that's a wrap. I hope this video brought some clarity to you depending on what you want to start and where you are in your life. What's most important is that you just make that first step and just start. I wish you all the best.